the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Pacific Ocean, a void of blue that stretches to the horizon, concealing secrets within its depths. On July 2, 1937, this ocean swallowed one of the 20th century's greatest icons, leaving behind only questions and a mystery that endures to this day. This is the story of the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. Our story begins not at the end, but at the height of her fame. It is 1932. The world is captivated by a daring pilot who has just become the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Amelia Earhart wasn't just a pilot. She was a symbol of courage, adventure, and the limitless potential of the modern woman. Her name was synonymous with breaking barriers, both in the sky and on the ground. She set records for speed, for altitude, for distance, but for a spirit as restless as Amelia's, there was always one more frontier to conquer. By 1937, she had her sights set on the ultimate aviation prize, to be the first woman to circumnavigate the globe. This wasn't just a flight, it was a 29,000-mile odyssey, a testament to human endurance and technological prowess. Her chariot for this grand adventure was a state-of-the-art, twin-engine Lockheed 10E Electra, specially modified with extra fuel tanks for the long hauls over water. By her side was one of the most experienced aerial navigators of the era, Fred Noonan. Together, they were a formidable team, ready to take on the world. On June 1, 1937, the Electra lifted off from a runway in Miami, its silver wings glinting in the Florida sun. The first leg of their journey was a resounding success. They flew south, crossing the Caribbean and the vast green expanse of South America. From there, it was across the South Atlantic to the shores of Africa. They traversed the continent, then crossed the Arabian Peninsula, India, and Southeast Asia. With each takeoff and landing, they were writing history, drawing a line around the planet. The world watched, breathless, as they conquered one continent after another. Newsreels and radio broadcasts tracked their every move. On June 29th, after nearly a month of grueling flight, they arrived in Lae, New Guinea. They had already flown over 22,000 miles, an incredible achievement in itself. More than two-thirds of their epic journey was complete. But the most dangerous part lay ahead. Before them was the Pacific, an immense, featureless wilderness of water. Their next destination was a mere speck in this vastness, Howland Island. A tiny coral atoll, just 2 miles long and half a mile wide, it was a crucial refueling stop. Missing it meant certain doom. The flight from Lae to Howland was a staggering 2,600 miles, pushing the Electra to the absolute limit of its range. The navigation would have to be perfect. Noonan would rely on celestial navigation, shooting the stars with his sextant, a difficult task from a vibrating, moving aircraft. Waiting for them near Howland Island was the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca, their lifeline. The ship's radio operators were tasked with providing weather updates and transmitting a signal for Earhart to home in on. In the pre-dawn hours of July 2nd, Earhart and Noonan took off from Lae for the final time. For hours, they flew east into the rising sun. Radio communications with the Itasca were patchy and filled with static. Earhart's voice, usually calm and professional, began to betray a sense of urgency. The Itasca could hear her, but she apparently couldn't hear them well. Her transmissions were short, repeating requests for a bearing. Then came the messages that would become legendary. "We must be on you but cannot see you," she reported, her voice cutting through the static. "Gas is running low. Have been unable to reach you by radio." The crew of the Itasca listened, helpless, as they tried desperately to guide her in. They sent up smoke signals from the ship's funnel, but the sky was overcast. The minutes ticked by with agonizing slowness. Her last known transmission was received at 8:43 a.m. local time. "We are on the line 157337, she said, referring to a line of position Noonan had likely calculated. "We are running north and south." And then, silence. The radio went dead. Amelia Earhart, Fred Noonan, and their silver Electra had vanished from the sky. They never arrived at Howland Island. The largest and most expensive search and rescue operation in U.S. naval history was immediately launched. For 16 days, ships and planes scoured over 250,000 square miles of the Pacific. They found nothing. No wreckage, no oil slick, no sign of life. It was as if the plane and its two famous occupants had simply ceased to exist. So, what happened to Amelia Earhart? In the decades since her disappearance, theories have flourished, ranging from the plausible to the fantastic. The most widely accepted explanation is the simplest and perhaps the most tragic: the crash and sink theory. This holds that they simply ran out of fuel while searching for Howland Island. Unable to locate the tiny atoll, they were forced to ditch the heavy Electra in the ocean. The plane would have sunk within minutes, taking Earhart and Noonan with it to the bottom of the deep Pacific, leaving no trace. It's a logical but heartbreaking conclusion to their ambitious flight. But another compelling theory has gained significant traction over the years: the Gardner Island hypothesis, now known as Nikumaroro. This theory suggests that Earhart, realizing she had missed Howland Island and running desperately low on fuel, spotted a small, uninhabited atoll about 400 miles to the southeast. Proponents argue she managed to make an emergency landing on the island's flat coral reef. Evidence cited includes faint, garbled post-loss radio signals that some believe could have been Amelia trying to call for help, and artifacts discovered on the island. These include fragments of what might be aircraft aluminum, a woman's shoe, and even a partial human skeleton found in the 1940s, though the bones themselves have since been lost. Did they survive as castaways for days, or even weeks, before succumbing to the elements? Finally, there is the most sensational and controversial theory, that Earhart and Noonan were captured by the Japanese. This theory posits that they were blown off course and either crashed or were forced down in the Japanese-controlled Marshall Islands. Depending on the version of the story, they were then executed as spies or died in captivity. Some supposed eyewitness accounts have emerged over the years, but they are often contradictory and lack definitive proof. While it makes for a dramatic spy thriller, most serious investigators have found little credible evidence to support the Japanese capture scenario. 87 years later, the mystery endures. We have pieced together the final hours. We have her last words, but the final chapter of her story remains unwritten, lost somewhere over the horizon. Amelia Earhart flew into legend, leaving behind a legacy of courage and an enigma that continues to capture our imagination. She remains forever frozen in time, the fearless aviator, flying into the sunrise on the final leg of a journey she never completed. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the past. Let us know in the comments which theory you believe is the most likely. We'll see you in the next video.